Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us to the Chorus Daily Briefing. I've got the Associate Director of Sales Enablement, Michael Erickson, with us today. Hey, Michael, how's life on your end?
Hey, good morning, Jim. Doing well in Dallas, Texas. A slightly cloudy day.
Yeah, we had some rain out here in the Bay Area, which is not normal for May. But and you're holding up okay at home?
65. Yeah, it's better than the 85, 90 degrees that it was the other day. Yeah, we're in week 8, week 9 of work from home at this point. Spirits are high, the team's doing well, but it's a little change.
Definitely. As I was sharing with you before, I got my start, at AT&T, back in '97, and really appreciate those times. I know you're working with, college grads and building out, outbound motions. Tell me about the role of sales enablement at AT&T right now.
Yeah, so I would say that sales enablement at AT&T is a fairly new practice. We've always had people who are thinking about the tools that our sellers use and how we engage with our customers, but the conversation's really changed over the last year. Less about are we sure we want to give sellers a tool that helps them be more productive and effective to deciding, well, which tool is it among all the tools that currently exist that can help our sellers' efficiency. And so it's exciting to be on the cutting edge of that within such a large company, dealing with our unique and specific challenges that we often encounter. But it's really cool being able to provide these tools for people coming in to the sales development program. It's a college recruiting program, and for a lot of people, this is their first job and their first real job. And it's cool because as they go through the program, they eventually graduate, they go out and do their field roles. And the tools that they use in the program are the same tools that they want to have when they get out into the field. Yeah. So we have some built-in advocates for all of the changes that we're making. When we really hit the nail on the head, when we do a great job, they're like, well, why don't I already have this out in my full role in the field? And it's amazing to hear people asking for these tools finally, and to be like, okay, yeah, we want this again, rather than it being something that we're trying to give to the team. So just a really cool time in our experience, a really great place to be, having a lot of fun outfitting them with these things.
It's come a long way from the days when they used to hand you a white pages and say, go for it. And so I'm thrilled that you're enabling the next generation with the technology. One of the areas that I wanted to maybe kick off with on data, we've been looking at this week's data, and we shared yesterday that we saw an 11% uptick in outbound cold calls, still down 32% since January. The connected calls are sort of matching cold call volume with about a 10% overall connect rate. How large of an outbound group do you have there at AT&T within your function?
Yeah, so our sales development program is currently about 150 people strong within that recruiting title. We're actually starting another 75 sellers on June 1, and then another additional 100 interns on that same day. So we're doing a lot of planning right now. So I imagine that our call volume is going to spike significantly for outbound just by virtue of our team growing so significantly. But yeah, we see the same things in our call volumes. That outbound volumes are decreasing. We're still getting voices on the phone a lot, but just by virtue of the fact that we're dealing with these small and medium-sized businesses that are more likely to be closed right now, or more likely to not be in the point where they want to have the conversation about communication services. Sometimes we're having a tougher time getting to decision makers and getting to the right person. But our inbound volume is great. We're getting a lot of inbound interest from people filling out forms on our website, is us following back up with them, because there are people who have this need still. There are people who are in the right time to make a move.
Yeah, you mentioned the compelling reason to buy. Is that what you're seeing on the inbound side? Is that they're having a more compelling reason?
Yeah, you know, for some of us, just like we're sitting here video chatting, there are entire workforces doing the same thing. We know there are businesses that are deciding to make infrastructure moves while their offices and buildings would otherwise sit empty. We've noticed distinctly that there is pre-COVID funnel that no longer exists, and there's post-COVID funnel that are people who have this compelling reason to buy, or who are in that moment where there is a need that we can solve with connectivity, mobility, and security.
Michael, you've got, you know, as you mentioned, you're coaching up this generation of recent college grads. Typically, you've been in the office. Now everybody's working from home. How have you managed coaching? And I know you're a new Chorus customer, so appreciate the support.
Yeah.
As people have been working from home, it is different. How has that transition been for you?
You know, it's been quite a change. As you mentioned, we sit in a center together where all of our sellers have the ability to learn from each other side by side in phone calls, having their manager sit next to their teams and providing guidance. And we don't have that right now. I mean, they're all in corporate housing, sitting solo, making phone calls. And we have two options, let's call it. We have the option where we conference a manager in, or we sit with another phone in front of our faces and we listen to every single call over the course of many hours and hope that there's some coachable moment, or hope that there's something that we can provide feedback on. Or we can use a tool like Chorus, where we're getting those moments identified, getting valuable calls brought to our attention, and we can listen for key conversation elements and provide feedback on those. If I were a sales manager in their position, I know how I would want to spend my time. So it's encouraging to see, you know, in this forced time of transition, our use of Chorus increasing so much, because it tells me that we're making a smart decision about how to engage with our time.
I love it. The timing was perfect, getting you guys on board. One of the areas, Michael,
I wouldn't wish it on us again, but you know.
Well said. One of the areas that we also looked at, there's a new stat, but just empathy in the sales calls. And I'm curious about how your messaging has changed. What this is specifically looking at is 2019 versus 20, the first couple minutes or up to 3 minutes of empathy in calls, and looking at the types of words that match empathy, asking about kids and family and COVID. You know, huge increase, of course. How's your messaging changed on the outbound motion?
Yeah, our messaging has changed significantly in emails and guidance to our sellers, that we want to be more collaborative at this time. Like, as we said, there are still customers for whom we have a solution, and the value of that solution has not changed. It's expressing that value in a way that is authentic and meaningful, and a connection person to person. Because I mean, ultimately selling is a human business, and we're dealing with people that have needs and fears in this time, and you know, we've got to be responsive to that. I think it was actually one of the prior one of these discussions where we talked about authentic empathy and the ability to like actually engage in that conversation in a way that doesn't sound forced, but you know, sounds like I actually care about what's going on with you.
Is that a teachable moment? How do you teach empathy right now and make it authentic?
You know, I don't know that what is it? You can't teach someone to be nice, but you can teach them how to sell. You know, it's the same. It's the same thing. I think we hire for people that have the quality of being able to have conversations with people. And we can provide guidance and feedback, like, hey, maybe that wasn't the best word to use, or maybe you could try positioning it this way. But, I think the ability to have a genuine conversation with people where you show you care is something that some people have or some people don't, but we can refine and we can help teach.
Are there stats, Michael, on the outbound volume that you typically see that you're comfortable sharing with this group?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that our outbound volume has declined. I'll say that right now for calls, we look more like right after the holidays. So like maybe what January would look like rather than what April and May typically should. I would say that our call connection rates have held fairly steady, declined a little. We're leaving a lot more voicemails. According to the things that we're logging, we're leaving a lot more voicemails rather than being told to call back later. I would say that.
I was going to ask you about, sorry to switch gears on that, just as with a young group that's coming on board and selling and doing outbound, how do you keep them motivated? Have you been able to experiment on anything or any learnings of how to keep this team engaged and connected and motivated during this tough time?
I will say that our sales directors and sales managers are doing an excellent job for our college recruits. I have seen more interestingly thought out games and competitions. I thought we did a lot of stuff when we were together in person. There is so much more going on right now, just creativity and dress up days and like fancy sales attire. It's been spectacular to see, but they're doing a really good job of just keeping the teams engaged and productive through the time.
I love it. Well, it seems like it works then. I mean, the games are working in a fully virtualized environment.
Yeah, I'm impressed with how I won't say it's been completely seamless, but overall it's been a fairly easy transition to work from home. I mean, there's the mental fatigue and the emotional fatigue aspects that I'm sure are impacting our whole groups, but as far as getting the core of our work done, they made a quick change to this reality and they're doing a great job for it.
Nice. Well, one of the other key stats as we think about keeping our teams motivated is we're finding a lot more leadership involved, both in the buying conversations and sales conversations. I mean, significantly, like 78% increase in sales directors and leaders joining sales calls. And on the buying side, 66% in directors, 63. Are you finding that even on the calls that your team's in, that they're bringing more leaders into the later stage of the pipeline?
I would say that our sales leadership is just very frequently engaged in our conversations by virtue of the fact that we are a recruiting and development program. The sellers engage with their management team and their technical resources on a very frequent basis, as is, because our solutions tend to be complex in implementation and our systems are equally so. So I would say they're already working with those. I don't actually know if it's gone up lately, but that is an interesting finding.
You were mentioning experiments and games. I noticed that one of our sales professionals based in the Texas region started wearing a tie yesterday on the virtual calls, nice background and tie. And so I asked him, I said, how is this working? How are customers responding? And, his take, this is Philip, his take was that it's different. People aren't doing it on LinkedIn. And he's getting an incredible response from, customers. It's just not an icebreaker, but just something to engage and something pleasant. And so it's fun to see. You mentioned dress up days, which I think are probably different than wearing a tie, but fun to see people applying new things, to change it up, to bring wow into these processes. So super inspired by just all these creative experiments that everybody's running right now.
We're doing the same thing in that we're encouraging sellers to get on video for their early cycle phone calls. And it's a little awkward maybe at first, and it's certainly different. But I think, again, going back to authentic and empathetic. It's like these are, you can see who you're talking to and the conversation that you're having and how they're responding. And so it's different, but it's good in a way.
In my days at AT&T, we had to wear a coat and tie as a 22-year-old going, to the businesses. If you get your early sellers into video, do you think of video as an in-person meeting? Do you need to present in an in-person style the way you'd show up, or do you let people be who they are? And like, how do you balance that professionalism once you turn on the video?
Oh, that's going back to that comment of coachable moments, huh?
I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we want people to be themselves. You can also be yourself and be professional. So, it's striking that balance and doing it in a way that's appropriate to the medium. And then where we falter, we coach and we develop and we learn. That's what we're about.
I love it. Appropriate to the medium. Michael, your team is lucky to have you. Really appreciate you helping kick off Wednesday and just sharing these insights with everyone. Super fun.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, appreciate it. Well, have a great day. We'll see you around.
All right. Take care, Jim.
All right. Bye.